you might say one of the oldest ideas associated with leadership in all cultures, I've really found no exception around the world, is vision. And we've always used this term vision simply in the simplest sense as a picture or image of the future you seek to create. The visions that of course matter the most to us are not just individual, they're shared. So you look at any great collective works, the cathedrals of Europe, or even engineering accomplishments, great engineering feats. At some point, there's an image that many people start to share, and they're working together to bring this image into reality. So that's all that shared vision really is a shared or collective image of a future that you seek to create or bring into reality. The challenge, of course, is always how do we build shared visions? And once the idea started to become popular, it became a big problem. This goes back a long time, but certainly during the time period when the 5 disciplines was coming together, shared vision had become a fad. And all the management teams were off writing their vision statements and then acting as if that set of words that 3 people or 5 people or 7 people had written together was now a shared vision. But of course, maybe for those 3 or 5 or 7 people, but it doesn't mean it's a shared vision for the whole organization or for hundreds of people. So how we start to understand this process whereby shared visions actually develop, that really became this subject area that led to the discipline of building shared vision. And there's a couple of simple principles. One is, if there aren't individual visions, shared vision has no meaning. So one of the CEOs who was part of our original process developing this used to say, my vision doesn't get you up in the morning, your vision gets you up in the morning. So the idea that we can have a shared vision in an organization without being committed to supporting individuals in developing their personal vision is crazy. That's why personal mastery and shared vision always go together. Again, you can think of any artistic example, any performing arts. It's the shared vision of the performers collectively, their shared vision of the music they're creating collectively that matters, but it's grounded in the individual vision of each performer. So this harmony or synergy between personal vision and shared vision is absolutely essential. That's a radical idea because historically businesses never thought it was important that they encourage or support individuals in developing their personal vision. You come to work here, you work, I pay you, and there's no idea of a vision in any of that. So really, when you think about it, building shared vision is very radical if you really understand the process, because it requires a commitment to the development of each person in the organization. And that in turn gets at deep contradictions in our image of leadership. Because again, these are very ambiguous ideas. We think leaders and leadership is a crystal clear, but it's not at all. It's a very ambiguous term because one, we use it hierarchically. The leader is the boss. Whose vision matters? Well, it's the boss's vision, and that makes us all kind of subservient to the boss's vision. There's no shared vision. No shared vision at all, except by hierarchical authority, the boss's vision becomes your vision. But of course, it's not really your vision. You're just subservient or obedient to someone else's vision. That's not a shared vision at all. So if you really think about the discipline of shared vision, it's a radical idea that says that everyone is a leader. The role may be different. If I'm a corporal at the front lines, I have a role. It's very different than the role of a captain or someone higher up the hierarchy. That's not good or bad, that's just different roles. But the idea that I may have a vision for my work, even though I'm at the front lines, and that vision is part of a larger constellation of visions that constitutes the shared intent, the shared creative aspirations of an organization, and that everybody in some sense is equal. That's the radical idea underlying shared vision. I remember many years ago, back in the days when these ideas were coming together, another one of the CEOs who was involved expressed it very beautifully. He said, I'm not opposed to the idea of hierarchy. I think hierarchy can be very effective. He said, what I'm opposed to is the notion that the person further down the hierarchy is somehow a lesser being. That's the radical idea. That in some sense everybody is actually equally important, even though our roles, our experience might be very different. And if you think about it, it's very natural for me because in many ways, the formative experiences for me were in team sports. And of course, you may have some stars, you may have some other people who have more average level ability, but in a team, it doesn't matter. If somebody makes a mistake, it doesn't matter, the team loses. So it doesn't matter what position you play, it doesn't matter how much your stature is. A team is a team because everybody's role ultimately is in some sense equally important. And of course, when you see a great team, that's what defines a great team. One person may be paid a lot of money because they're a big star, and another person may be paid like 1/10 of that amount of money, but in the game, it doesn't matter. The great teams, everybody is equally important, and that spirit is what makes great teams great, and it's what makes the experience of being part of a great team really quite formative. Anybody who's ever been part of a great team will tell you stories. And that's the kind of, again, the irony or the paradoxical nature is in a great team, there's a profound level of equality.